back to They Did What? Your source for the internet's craziest, most entertaining stories, where I go with them, analyze them, and most certainly make fun of them. Today I'm going to be covering part 20 of the very popular long-running series, which is titled, While Wife Thought Her Affair Was Going Unnoticed, Husband Was Playing the Long Game Preparing for War. And guys, this story, as you know, goes back to February. It's been a fantastic one. This guy has a great sense of humor, and he's back. He's back to share his updates on what life is like post-divorce, and a little detail about what's going on with the guy that was nailing his wife, Emily, and little things about her. And I thought it'd be good to go over here, one, because you guys have been asking me on again. I'm getting emails. That's the same. What happened to the funny guy from Reddit? Well, he posted. He posted actually one a month ago, but it was a little bit about his dating life after. But then one today about things that were going on with the guy that was screwing up his marriage and, of course, his ex. And I thought it'd be good to go over that because I know a lot of you guys have been following the story since the beginning. But also to show you what it's like for guys after they go through all that and get back on the horse, the dating thing, what life is like after that. Because so many guys' identity is pretty much what they had with their ex-girlfriend or ex-wife, and being single for the first time in like a decade is really uncharted waters for them, particularly for a guy who's now in his 30s, compared to like when he was single in his 20s. So I'm going to go through this, and he has his usual sense of humor here. And in the end, I go over a few questions and comments he had about what's going on here, because that's actually a little more revealing than what he says in the story. So he picks up where he left off, and he says here, well, here's an update on my date with Shreya. Shreya is the Indian chick he met along in the divorce process, who I was saying, hey, hold your horses, buddy. This girl likes you. She gave you your number, but wait till you're divorced. Well, it's this Indian chick. She's good looking. She's in the country short term before she goes back to India and gets an arranged marriage, but he's having fun. I had to say that because it's been a few months. He says, well, it's been a busy week at work, and he says, yes, with her it was a date. He says, let me be clear. I've not gone on a date since high school. And I'm 30 years old right now, almost 31, and that's to say I'm super out of practice. I don't have a date mode, so basically, y'all are interested, I'll give you the details. I say this because I've obsessively gone over what happened over and over again in my brain because I have a black belt in overthinking. I journaled, I spoke with my bros, I spoke with a couple of Indian guys at work, and I wrote and deleted this like 100 times, so here goes. On the date, I was wearing khakis, button-down sleeve shirt, blah, 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 and I was sweltering in the summer heat. My belt matched my shoes, and I wore the expensive leather loafers and belt that Emily and John bought me. Shine them up real nice. Remember in his stories how he said that Emily was love-bombing him during her affair and buying him all these clothes and putting them on the tab and credit card of her affair partner? So it was a little insult to injury here, wearing the clothes she bought when he goes and bangs some Indian chick. When she answered the door for the date, she was wearing what I found later was a modern-style version of a traditional Indian outfit, a lenga choli, or whatever it's called. It's an Indian outfit that consists of a crop top and a separate skirt. It wasn't super fancy like Bollywood stuff, but more casual, if that makes sense. Her entire midriff was bare, and she had a belly button piercing. So, trying to be the suave, debonair international playboy that I am, I stared at her tummy. Like a creep for way too long, I may or may not have been actually drooling. Easy, cowboy. It's just a chick. But he's thinking, shit, I'm going to get finally some different ass after all these years. And I got to tell you, I think some Indian women are quite hot. I've seen some, and I've known some in my life that wear the traditional outfits. And the ones that look really good, yeah, they look good. But don't go going crazy here. It's just another chick. Well, she looked incredible. I said so, but it was too late. My social anxiety and betrayal trauma grabbed whatever riz I had and threw it down the stairs. I stood there holding my expensive loafers and spent like 15 seconds in her entryway like a confused robot vacuum. Well, her condo smelled like heaven because she had this unbelievable chicken curry that was good. Oh, shit, chicken curry. That'd be awesome. She's good looking and she can cook. This is someone to have some fun with, yes, before she goes back to India. She also had made a potato and pea samosas, which I immediately began inhaling because I forgot to eat a lot of times when the smell hit me. And I was like, holy shit, I'm starving. She said I was being really quiet and realized I was making it super awkward. I found it hard to make eye contact because I'd try and then my eyes would wander to what she was wearing. It's been a while, people. See, this is realistic, guys. This is a guy who hasn't dated with anybody else in over 10 years. He's being real here. A lot of guys are like, what the hell, dude? You've never been out with a woman before? it probably feels to him like cheating almost because he's been so used to being with his ex, even though what she did. Well, I was on the verge of having a panic attack, not because of the way she looked, but because this is my first date since high school. Remember, he was dating his ex Emily in high school. I've had so many panic attacks since I first started down this crappy path in my life, and has taken since I began to notice when one is coming. So I just decided honesty was the best policy. I apologized profusely and told her she looked incredibly stunning, and I was way too distracted by the way she looked, and that I was way out of practice with all this kind of thing, and asked her to be patient with me. Yes, weak Gora. Well, if she really likes this guy, even though he's not as acting like James Bond, she's not going to care. And obviously she really likes him, so if this was a guy that she didn't really have much attraction for, even though it's understandable, she would have been turned off. Well, she laughed and excused herself and came back wearing a hockey jersey. Apparently she's a Detroit Red Wings fan. I don't know anything about hockey. After that, my brain stopped short-circuiting, and I was able to loosen up some, and the rest of the day went pretty well. She made chai. We chatted for a while on the couch, and were able to slip into the same dynamic that we had been when we first met each other at the Airbnb. It did get a little physical, but it stayed PG-13. First time kissing a gal romantically who was not my wife, so big milestone moment. There you go. Even though he was acting like it was first date ever, still she liked him enough that they were making out and everything like that. And that's good that they didn't hook up on the first date, because then, obviously, you all know why if you watch my other channels, because you don't want to make a girlfriend to the gal that hooks up with you the first date or who you met at a party. But then again, there's a timeline on this relationship here, but good for him. Anyhow, first time kissing a girl since high school, blah, blah, blah. I ended up leaving around midnight, and we agreed to meet up again. I scored some tickets to a baseball game Saturday, and we were going, weather permitting. Kind of boring update, I know, I guess, but a lot of messages about the date. So that was what he did about a month ago. And it's a perfect example of what happens when you're back on the horse after all this time. Now his update that he did actually earlier today, that a few of you guys sent me more details about the villain that was nailing his wife and a little bit about his ex and all that. He says here, well, I just turned 31. This is the first birthday in over a decade without Emily around, which felt weird. Happy birthday, brother. My last birthday, she was still in the middle of her affair with John. She made a really big deal of my birthday at the time because it was my 30th, and she was still cosplaying as a loving, loyal wife. Well, on my 30th, she didn't give me anything special, anything great, just a couple of shirts. But she threw me a huge party with all her friends there, with the typical gloomy decorations like I'm old as fuck right now. She made a big, heartfelt speech about how great I am and how much she loved me. Really? Right in the middle of the fact that she's having a big affair? Fucking snake. It really moved me at the time. My Google account sent me the memories, including the video. I had to remember to turn that shit off. Well, Shreya and I are officially a couple until December. December is when she's going home to India to start meeting guys for the matchmaking process. It's weird having an expiration date on a relationship, but there's also clarity there. Like I know I'm not going to have to surrender my heart completely, and neither is she. So that's actually not bad for this guy, because the last thing he wants to do is get serious with the first chick he dates and hooks up with after, God knows, like 12, 13-year relationship, you know? But this is helping him get back in the swing of things, because obviously this guy's a relationship guy. And by the way, I got to point something out here. So Shreya is here in the U.S. doing her thing, working, career, all that shit. But eventually she's going to go back to India where they're going to do the matchmaking process, because I guess that's still a big part of the culture there. So some guy's going to be marrying her and have no idea the extent of, American sausage she's been sampling here until, so there you go. She's the first girl that I've ever been romantically involved with besides Emily, and it was awkward as hell, I'm not going to lie. She was patient, thank God, and now we're both enjoying each other's company. Either that or I'm enjoying by myself, and she really is polite. For my birthday, she gave me a leather-bound journal. My buddy Bob is talking about moving his girl into his house. My friend Jim and I are going to have an intervention with him because they've only been exclusive for a few months, and we're a little concerned it's too soon. Smack to Bob. Moving in a girl after a few months, are you nuts? However, I do see the irony of a divorced guy offering relationship advice. Maybe I can just tell him not to do it. Actually, if there's a guy that should give advice about relationships, it is the divorced guy. It's not his fault that he's divorced. It's his fucking ex-wife. Lisa and John's divorce is still proceeding. Remember, John is the guy that was having the affair with his wife, and now his wife's divorcing him? I think it's probably going to go to trial. I knew it was going to be contentious, but damn, my lawyer should thank me for Lisa's referral. Lots and lots of billable hours for her. John's oldest daughter, who's 16, doesn't want to talk or visit him at all, so he's crying parental alienation. Hey, this could happen to a nicer guy. Lisa told the group chat that John is being audited. It says here, pro tip, don't write off your girls' gifts and activities with your side piece as advertising and networking expenses. He says, I don't know exactly why he's being audited, but I'm guessing it has something to do with that. I guess he filed his taxes before Lisa got my email earlier this year outlining his relationship with my wife. I'm assuming he got a love letter from the IRS. I don't know the details, but he's not happy, and that's the important thing, right? Man, karma's coming for John. He's getting divorced. His wife's taken to the cleaners. His daughter doesn't want to talk to him, and now he's getting audited by the IRS. Remember, this guy has a business. He was mentoring our guys here at Emily. And obviously he was buying her all these things and probably doing a lot of shady shit, taking on these different expenses, if you will. Well, eventually Uncle Sam is going to come knocking on your door. They're going to catch you. They got AI, probably the most sophisticated computer systems by the U.S. government is probably handled and run by the Internal Revenue Service. My buddy Matt, his wife had their baby. I visited him and his wife in the hospital, and I brought flowers and a onesie with a D&D character sheet for the baby. He was very proud, beaming with a goofy smile on his face. His wife was smiling too and looking tired but also glowing. They also had a closed loop of joy between them. I couldn't help but think what it would be like if Emily and I were at that point. I'm not saying I wouldn't be proud and happy, but I'd be holding back on all that until a DNA test came back. I would never be like Matt and his wife. Yet another nail in the coffin of my relationship with her. Thank God we never had kids. Yeah, it was bad enough and hard enough for this guy, but can you imagine if he had kids? Well, their baby wasn't in the room when Matt and his wife and I visited. The nurses had taken the baby away to do whatever they do to newborns, and Matt's mother-in-law and his mom accompanied the baby like a little Secret Service detail. So Matt whipped out his phone to show his kid off, and I told him he has to pay for my therapy bills if I see a picture of his wife's hoo-ha for the baby launching out. He must have scrolled through 150,000 photos of the newborn. So now here is the purpose of the post. There were a couple of photos of Emily holding the baby and smiling. Here we go. Back to Emily. Well, she had visited early in the day, and her hair was cropped very short, but not shaved off. What? Remember he described her as being extremely good looking, long, beautiful hair, all that? She nearly chopped her whole freaking hair off. Somebody's losing it. Emily's close to 30 years old. Not a good idea to do that. Most men are turned off by short hair. It was also its natural color, and like most blondes, Emily's hair color was actually brown. Matt tried to awkwardly scroll past the pictures really quickly, but Emily captured on camera with her natural hair color. It was like taking a photo of Bigfoot, so I had to take a second look. She was smiling for the camera and all, so I guess she's doing okay. Matt went from proud papa to semi-serious look on his face. I don't want to hijack the occasion to be about Emily and me, so I just waved it off and kept on scrolling. It's a little bit concerning because as long as I've known her, Emily has always had long hair. It's always been naturally full, like she rolls out of bed and with a hair like other women do, and they take hours to prepare. I'm just saying this is quite radical change for her. Because she's losing it. Probably some friends of hers convinced her, you're a new you, so chop it all off for a new beginning or some crap like that. A lot of women do that. They have long, beautiful hair, and usually it's other women that convince them to chop it off, which is the dumbest thing to do possible. Only a handful of women, and I'm talking a small percentage, in my opinion, can look good with shortish hair. They got the right facial features and all that, but by and large, long hair, that's the way to go. Well, both Matt, Jim know about Shreya, but I told them to keep it to themselves. I verified with Matt that he hasn't said anything to his wife about Shreya. They have bigger fish to fry at this point anyway. I know it's probably inevitable that Emily will find out about this, but I want to hold off on the potential shitstorm as long as possible. Ideally, if and when she finds out, it'll be after Shreya goes back to India. Well, that's where I am right now, 31, divorced, dating on a timer, watching my friends build families while I rebuild myself. It's not where I thought I'd be. So, there you go. Now, notice he was concerned. He doesn't want his ex to find out that he's dating this Indian chick or any chick. Well, I say, who the fuck cares? But you all recall one of the stories how she was losing her mind. Remember when she was back at the old house and burning all these handbags and purses and shit on the outdoor grill, causing a big fiasco and all that? Cops had to come and everything. So, who knows? He doesn't want to deal with that crap. But still, it's inevitable. This guy is cool. He's going to move on. Now, there's a couple questions people had for him, as you can imagine, because he's very popular. And I'm going to read the questions to let you hear his responses. I'll shed some light more on why he doesn't want the ex to find out, more shit about her, and how he's doing. One guy says here, happy birthday. The dating on-timer thing is very odd. I never heard about it and would never do it. As for your ex, why would you be scared of finding out about her new relationship? Do you want to protect yourself or to protect her? And our guy says, that's a good question. Maybe both. The first thing that comes to mind is I don't want her to harm herself. Maybe I'm being narcissistic, though, thinking she'd do that. If she were going to do that, maybe she would have done it already. It's not like I can turn off the fact that I care about her or what happens to her. I didn't say I didn't care what happens to her. I just don't trust her at all. I can't be in a relationship with someone I don't trust. She already wiped her ass of our relationship. How do I know she won't do it again? Also, I don't want any more dramatic scenes like when she set all her shit on fire. I don't think she'd harm anyone, but I do think she'll yell and scream. He says, yeah, I'd be $7,500 richer, but I think I would pay that much money not to be part of a scene like that. Remember, as part of the divorce settlement, they offer to give him, they're putting $7,500 in escrow if he met with her, where she could have one little conversation with him, where she read that giant letter that really messed him up. You all recall that? And she agreed that if she would reach out to him within a year and break the no contact, he'd get $7,500. That's what he's referring to. But I think the chick's going to lose it anyway, so who cares? I mean, it wouldn't be my problem anymore. If I had a wife and was divorced because of the way she treated me and the same with this Emily chick was treating him, I wouldn't give a shit what she would do after all this. But that's just me. Another one, a guy says to him, good to hear from you. Question, does moving on, being with a new girl, sort of soften the anger in your heart towards Emily? Just curious. If over time the playing ground levels out to be manageable if you were to try again? It's a good question. Is the new girl helping him move on? He says, I'm more hurt than angry with Emily, I suppose. I fluctuate. The EMDR therapy helps a lot when I feel about sadness or anxiety coming on. It's kind of tiring. At one point, I get enraged and want to just flame the shit out of her for ruining the best thing in my life. Then that leads me to the best thing in your life was a girl who cheated on you and threw your marriage away. You're pathetic. And that leads to a desperation spiral where my brain goes to, you're too old to have a meaningful relationship with anyone. You're too old to have kids and enjoy early retirement like you plan. Women don't like men that other women have thrown away because you're a loser, and they can smell that on a guy. That's all his depression and anxiety making him think. And that's all bullshit. That's completely untrue. A man can have children very, very, very late in life, while a woman has a certain time frame. And a guy can be in his 40s and 50s and still be a super catch. Shit, you can have a guy who can be a catch even older than that. So he's got nothing to worry about. He also says with Shreya, I know that I can go out and find a sex partner, but that's not really what I want out of life. That's not how I was built. I'm sure there are plenty of guys out there who just want to spread their seed everywhere like some kind of sex farmer, but that is not me. I want to get off, or I can just use my smartphone and my right hand. It saves me money and time. I don't want that. I want to be an old guy shuffling around the kitchen, not finding the salt, and annoyingly asking my old-ass wife, who I've been married to for decades, and where she is, and she snaps at me annoyingly and says it's where it's always been. Why do you keep asking me? Then I grab the salt, kiss her on the lips, and say, thanks, baby. Why don't the kids call more often? That's what I want. So I told you, this guy's a relationship guy. So this is how he's moving on. This is how a lot of guys move on. It's awkward as hell. It's weird because they've been with the same woman for ages. And, but he's doing all right. And I think eventually this chick's going to go back to India. He'll have his fun, build his confidence a bit. And probably sooner or later, he'll probably date again, move on with his life, and meet some chick and go for round two. And I hope he learns a hell of a lot. And I think he has, But anyhow, maybe months before we hear an update here, I'm still convinced there's going to be some outbursts from Emily. It's going to happen. It might be the next episode or the one after that, but something's going to set her off. If she butched her hair, it's already things are going down. So anyhow, guys, for those who've been following the story and have been asking what's going on with him, there you go. He's like another bro. He's gone through a shitstorm, survived, and this is his day by day moving on. It's real. All right, guys, that's it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. And be sure to like the video, share it with your friends, and subscribe. I'll catch you next time.